Thank you for checking us out. I'm Rob Lee from Mastermind Team's Robcast, and this is a brand new episode of Getting to the Truth in This Art. This week, I have the esteemed pleasure of bringing on Brendan Dorr. Is that accurate pronunciation?
That is exactly correct.
Gang. From Dutch Courage. And I want to thank you for coming on and making the time.
Thank you for having me. Really excited to be here. There might be a point where while we're talking, my business partner gets to re-enter the conversation. He's fixing something because, as everyone who's ever been in the restaurant industry knows, there's always something that needs repair. And of course, right before we started this, something broke. He's fixing it, and I'm here.
Well, that's how it is. Sometimes you gotta pivot, and that's one of the interesting things about what Dutch Courage is doing, and I'll touch on that in a little bit. But I wanted to ask one question before I get into learning a little bit more about Dutch Courage. Is it okay if I drink?
Yes, it is.
I am drinking a Japanese vodka that I picked up yesterday, and it's pretty tasty.
Nice. Nika or Roku?
I believe it's Roku.
Roku. All right, cool.
So for all of the fine folks out there listening that are familiar with Dutch Courage, can you give them like kind of a description of Dutch Courage, put them on, give them some,
absolutely. Yeah. So Dutch Courage is a gin-centric cocktail bar. We opened with just enough time that we kind of had the thought today that we had been open for a bar as long as now we have been open as a bottle shop because of COVID. So we were open for about 2.5 months, and now we're soon going to probably be like as a bottle shop, like a to-go bar or a to-go like liquor store for about 2 months. But yeah, so we opened up on December 28th. My business partner and I his name's Eric Fooy. We have been bartending together for over 15 years. This was something that I'd always wanted to do a gin-centric bar. Whiskey, obviously, over the years, as we all know, has become such like a focal point for all the geeks and, enthusiasts and amateurs out there who are just like, where can I get my bottle of Pappy? But, gin has been a base spirit in cocktails for almost, as long as the cocktail has been a creation. All classic cocktail books have, gin cocktails. They're filled with gin cocktails, as well as whiskey cocktails, rye, not bourbon, brandy, and other ingredients. But gin also doesn't get the love like some other spirits, at least for it. In more recent years, it hasn't been getting quite the love, and now it finally is. But, so many people are like, I had a bad experience on gin. And I always ask them, well, was it the quality or the quantity? Because when you have too much of anything, it can be a bad thing. So maybe you should revisit gin, come back, check us out. We have about 120 different gins on our shelf right now, and that number will probably continue to grow.
Yeah. And that's one of the really cool things. Like my girlfriend lives a few blocks away from the location over there on Charles Street. And pretty much like we were kind of looking for it, and we look at different things that are in the area. We were early adopters for like sophomore, and they've been a guest on. Chris from there has been a guest on, and kind of just seeing different things. It's like, all right, when are things going to start to open up? And we're kind of like always looking. It's like, all right, when is Dutch Courage opening? What is this place? What's this place about?
Yeah, it was a little bit of like a test and trial. So with the pandemic happening right now, it feels like almost it hasn't ended. And maybe that is just, bar restaurant ownership. There's always, trials and tribulations to get through. But when we first started this whole journey, we probably like a lot of business owners, we bounced around a couple spots, and people had already heard that we were going to be opening. And then the question just was always on everyone's, right on the tip of everyone's tongue. When are you going to open? And it's not as simple as just like, let me unlock the door and let people open. There's so many hurdles to jump through, and it's amazing.
Yeah, like us, like kind of being in that neighborhood and kind of seeing it when the opportunity presented itself. I was like, we need a place to go to that's not far. It's in the area. Let's check it out. And we went there and we fell in love with it. And one of the things that, I made it a point to do, and she as well, is all these places, but definitely I've been concentrating on like going there to Dutch Courage like maybe every week, if not every other week. And I'll go there, I'll buy several bottles, and that's what we're drinking. So whenever we're watching, we're not going to the liquor store, we're going to Dutch Courage, and I'm walking over there. And I think I was telling Eric maybe the last time I was there, I was like, I was here, and then I had to turn around because I forgot my damn mask, and I had to run back over here. And I was like, I might have a problem.
Yeah.
So the name, where does the name come from? What's the origin of the name?
So the origin of Dutch Courage is that in the 16th century, the British were fighting a war called the 30 Years' War, and but it was early enough where quality gin wasn't being produced. But what was being produced was a spirit called Jenever, or Genever, as people might say it, and it's a Dutch Holland spirit that is just like gin. It has juniper in it, and Jenever actually means juniper. And so that's why you have juniper being this very focal point of what makes gin. I mean, even the word Jenever, Genever, is, when you like look at the first three letters, it's Gen, almost like Gin, gin, right?
Yeah.
And so the British are fighting this war, and what do soldiers do a lot of but drink? And what happens when you drink? You get your liquid courage going, or your Dutch courage going, and then they'd fight. I remember when I learned about this term, I don't know, 10 years ago or so, I was like, man, I like that term. That's a cool term. That'd be a cool ass bar name. And I think that was when the first, probably not 10 years ago, but one day I finally was like, I'd open a gin bar, and I'd call it Dutch Courage, because that's just an awesome name for like, just sounds cool.
That's dope. That's really cool.
I like that, background story to a name is great.
It's like always having a reason, like, when someone has like kind of like a shitty tattoo or any tattoo rather, and it's like, what's the story behind there? There's none. I think names go the same way. It's like, oh yeah, we call it that because, it was a name.
Yeah, exactly.
So why did you choose Baltimore as the place that you were going to because that's one of the focuses of this show is, why are you in Baltimore?
So I'm a Marylander. I moved here in 1999. I went to Peabody and got a degree in classical vocal performance. Eric, my business partner, he is best friends with one of my college friends. And Eric moved here because he's a musician also, but they were doing a lot of like studio and more like band work.
Sure.
And so Eric moved out here to be kind of part of that. And we became friends, and then eventually we started working together. Eric's from Kalamazoo, Michigan. But yeah, I moved away. I moved up to New York for just a very short period, and just realized, I like Baltimore. I love the city. It's real. It's obviously it's got its gritty, its dirty side, it's harsh, but there's a lot of real life here too. There's the real side of life that you can see, not, the neighborhoods change so quickly as you go from one place to another. And I appreciate that there are differences in neighborhoods. And so, I just thought the city is great. It could have an awesome, we could be part of like helping this city have like even more of a really amazing cocktail scene going on. There's a lot of opportunity here for anybody who really wants it. And so, I guess that's why Baltimore. I love this city. I'm going to stay here. It's where I want to be.
That's always great to hear, because that's kind of where this podcast came out of, like where, when I say back in maybe the summer, maybe last summer, it was so almost a year of doing this, I guess.
All right.
Where just a lot of spicy shit was said about my city, and I've been here forever. And I'm like, okay, I don't like how this is being talked about. We're just used as a placeholder for this place. It sucks, and this is the place that sucks as of today. And I'm just like, we have individuals here, we have people here, and I think the food and drink scene, because we have a really good food and drink scene, is a really big part of.
Really great food scene. I mean, there's so many amazing restaurants. I think the tricky part is like just making sure we have enough guests in the city to fill all those seats.
Absolutely.
So, there's really great restaurants. We've definitely seen some really great restaurants prior to the pandemic, but we've seen a lot of great restaurants, unfortunately, not survive.
Yes.
But like I was saying, there's so much opportunity here for anybody who really wants it. And with that opportunity, I think it's the chance to be in a city that we help build it together the way we want to see it. Which makes me think this upcoming election, therefore, is very important.
Totally. So where did you get your start?
Actually, so Eric, my business partner, just fixed the freezer, and now he's sitting next to me. So I'm going to let him jump in with, where did you get your start, Eric?
How you doing?
Hi.
Well, I moved to Baltimore close to 20 years ago. I didn't have any experience in restaurants at all. And one of the people to help unload the U-Haul trailer was my business partner, Brendan Dorr, and he agreed to drive me around the city looking for some work. And we pulled up to the Belvedere Hotel, which has the Owl Bar restaurant in it. And Brendan had spent a little bit of time there, a new manager. And that's pretty much where I cut my teeth as a server at the Owl Bar. And I kept jumping behind the bar and they kept kicking me out. And eventually enough people called off and I ended up working a Friday night and kind of just stuck it out.
They stopped kicking.
I've been to the Owl Bar actually for a birthday a few years back. So yeah, that's definitely a great place. So one question around like the drinks out, because I kind of put a pin in it earlier. I think when it came to, I think like what Dutch Courage is doing in terms of kind of the pivot, like you guys are very creative, and I dig what you're doing with the different cocktails that are there. With the cocktails that I guess you're familiar with making, being that you have so much experience in the field, what has been like maybe a couple of your favorite drinks to make, and what have been some of your least favorite drinks to make?
Are we talking least favorite drinks just in general, or are we talking least favorite drinks during quarantine?
We could frame it as during a quarantine if you like.
I don't know if we've had any least favorite. Actually, I can't say we really had any least favorite drinks during quarantine because we've just kind of made what we want.
I love to make every drink because that's my passion.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to tell yourself that. I'll just say it. One of my least favorite drinks is a crush. I guess just because you go to like, it's one of those cocktails that is at some bars and they do it well. And it's like they're set up for it. And I think what makes a really good crush, to be honest, is if you're like right there and actually fresh pressing the juice with a hand press when somebody orders it. And so the juice doesn't get any fresher. And, they're using a flavored vodka and they're using a triple sec or something like that. But I think it really does come down to like the juicing of it right there in front of you. And we juice our citrus in-house pretty much almost every day, if not like every other day, when we're open for like all normal business.
Sure.
So our juice is seriously fresh. But I don't know, there's just something about like an orange crush or a grapefruit crush when you get it at like, you go to Riley's or something like a place like that, and they do it fresh, and it is really great. But then, I don't know, coming into a cocktail bar that is doing things a little differently, it's kind of like, that cocktail is a signature at bars that are doing that cocktail. And
right.
Then, you come to another bar and it's like, that's not a cocktail that we're set up for. It's not how we've set things up. We're trying to do something different. And then people order it and, we make it for them. But I don't know. There's something about it that makes you just go, man, just get it at Riley's. It's so much better there.
You also drink with your eyes. So the experience. And
then it's just not this, like, I don't make them enough. I don't turn them out enough. Our glassware just isn't the same. So people get it and they're like used to getting it in like a giant pint glass or like some 20-ounce cup. And I'm giving it to you in like a 12-ounce or 10-ounce highball glass that I put gin and tonics in. And they're like, wait, what's this? But like, I don't know, the whole experience to me is just thrown off because it's just not a cocktail that we're set up to do. And so therefore, like, I think it's just better at the places that are like, we're an orange crush bar, come get crushes. We're a fancy craft cocktail bar that's going to, tweezer a flower into your drink.
I mean, even the take home, like, usually when I go there and I'll get 2 or 3 things and I'll ask for recommendations. I was like, all right, so my girl likes this, so what should I get? And then I'll go there and I'll try to do my best version of everything that's there. It's like, I'm going to make this as pretty as possible. I'm going to, kind of take a cue from what I've seen in the one time I was actually there before all of this nonsense happened. And I was just like, all right, we're going to enjoy this. And it's just been a part of our weekends. Dutch Courage has been a part of our weekends, and definitely, I'm happy to say that. I dig it. You guys are definitely a part of the community, a part of our weekends every weekend.
That's awesome. That feels good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's great. So, going back into that previous questions. So, what are your favorite? Because you said you've kind of been able to do kind of anything you want, and I guess what has been one of your favorites? Like, you'll have some like, that was really good, that was great, but you know what, that one is coming back. That one's coming back soon. And maybe even in that same question, what is your approach with coming up with maybe new cocktails?
Eric here. For me, my favorites are the 3-ingredient cocktails, maybe 4-ingredient cocktails. You've got the classic riffs, and sometimes you just add a little something to make it pop. That's what I'm enjoying the most now, are just those simple cocktails. There's a sweet and there's a sour and there's a spirit.
Mm-hmm. And then that modifier that sets it off.
Or an old fashioned. There's nothing wrong with an old fashioned. It's great when you switch out the main spirit too. Ours is gin, and they make damn good old fashions.
They do. I think my favorite has been for during quarantine. So my wife and I were like cleaning some stuff out, and there's a bottle of prescription guaifenesin, and I was like, we'd started doing cocktails in plastic bottles that have a nice seal top lid, and I was like, where do you get a medicine bottle from? And so we looked it up. We're getting our bottles from a medical marijuana supply company online, that supplies all the bottles and all the wrappers and all that kind of stuff. And so we've been ordering all these bottles, and I love that with that we've been able to pivot to having cocktails that come off as medicinal products. I
have one in my home right now.
We did Grandpappy's cough medicine, which was kind of fun. And, we made it a cherry flavor. And it's really a beefed up old fashioned with some port and bitters and I think we put sfumato in it. We put cherry in it. And so it had this rich, boozy, slightly medicinal, but cherry flavor. And I think the packaging is you drink with your eyes, like we were saying. Mm-hmm. But then also doing a play on the classic penicillin, but moving it over to gin and calling it penicillin. It was even fun to do the labels and make the labels look a little bit like, your prescription label on a bottle, saying how many doses to take per day. And, we joked around and we're like, one of our close friends, who's also one of our bartenders, Ryan Sparks. They're like Dr. Ryan Sparks. So we're like, Ryan, you got to sign all the labels. So I thought those were super fun. It made it in this very dark period for all of us, it was definitely put some smiles on our faces.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's, when I saw, I'm blanking on the name of it. I think it was the antidote, maybe?
Oh, immunity.
The immunity, yeah. I still have one in my refrigerator. I take a shot of that every day because I used to drink a mix of turmeric and all of this other stuff. And I was like, this makes this taste good. This is done well. This is done right.
Yeah, it tastes good.
Yeah, so I just see the bottle in there. I was like, oh, I got to take my medicine.
It's good for you.
It is. I mean, it does have a lot of good stuff. Ginger and fresh citrus and turmeric, honey. It's great.
So we're moving towards the kind of the last portion of it before we get into just kind of what I like to call shameless plug time. But so ultimately with Dutch Courage, let's say, after everything is kind of done and we're back to some degree of normalcy, what is ultimately is the main goal of what you guys would want to do? Like, pie in the sky, like shooting for the moon. What would be that main thing that you guys would want to do with Dutch Courage?
I think the first real like main goal is to be seen as a great neighborhood bar where everyone is welcome. You don't have to come in and buy a $10, $12, $15 cocktail. You can come in and just get a beer. We have beers that aren't expensive. We specifically tried to, feature really good wine that doesn't cost a lot. You can get a nice glass of wine that you're not going to hopefully see out on the shelves at the spirit or like the liquor stores, and have a unique glass of wine. We tried to feature a lot of like more local beer. There's so many great beer, but I didn't want to diversify the beer list to be something like that is challenging to our next door neighbor, Fadensen. So we have beer, we have wine, and then our spirit list. You can do tastes, you can do full pours. We can build you your own little tasting sampling thing, and the tastes are inexpensive. They're only like, some of the tastes are like $2.75. I think is like one of the cheapest pour, like $2.50 is one of the like least expensive pours. I mean, they go up from there, but they don't go up in like a dramatic way. So we want people to be like, you can go there and like experience a lot of things and come regularly and enjoy yourself for not a lot of money. You don't have to like, break the bank to go to a bar that is top notch, top quality, but still welcoming, feels like a neighborhood joint. So that's like, I think, first step, goal like number one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, goal number two is obviously for this place to be successful for us and obviously for our staff. We want our staff to, be really happy that they're working here. They're able to support themselves and, help them move on and to other things if that's what they choose to do. And then, I mean, we'd like to be recognized as a really quality bar, by our peers around the state, the region, and the country, But I think the biggest goal really is still like in the back of my mind is to just be a really great, solid neighborhood bar that people love. You think of like good bars in the city that have been around forever and people still really like them. I mean, I think the first one that comes to my mind is Brewers Art
Institution. Yep.
That's great. That's great. And I wish you guys the best in that regard, because I'm going to keep coming because you guys are helping me out with my little alcohol habit. And so this is an opportunity for some shameless plugs, address, location, social media, all of that stuff that people can check you out and at least buy some bottles until we get back to, normal.
Sure. So our address is 2229 North Charles Street. We're on the corner of Charles and 23rd. Our Instagram handle is Dutch Courage Gin Bar. You can check us out. We pretty much do daily posts. We're not putting out like the menu online because we change up things pretty regularly from week to week. We haven't been carrying over the cocktails as much as, just trying to keep things fresh and original. So it keeps people coming in and checking us out. What else?
Weekly promotions.
Oh yeah, we have weekly promotions from cocktail kits to featured spirit kit or spirit bottles. And then, we'll see what comes. We have a few ideas we don't want to disclose yet that, as long as cocktails to go continue, we have one idea that we just started making happen today, but it'll probably be at least a week or so out before people hear about it.
Plants.
Yeah, we have plants. We do cool planters, herb boxes, and flower pots, hanging flower pots. And I guess right now we're also trying to plan on what to do when we're allowed to reopen. We have a really awesome courtyard, so we do have a nice big outdoor space that we're going to be able to serve on. We're trying to decide how to make that a place where people can go out to, rain or shine, because that wasn't our original plan. But we're working on all those things.
That's great. It's great that you guys are like pivoting. Both of you guys seem to be very, well, not even seem like, from what I've seen, you guys are very creative and able to kind of pivot. And that's something I admire. So I thank you for what you guys are doing. And, bully for you. I don't know if that's even a thing to say, but it feels like it. So yeah, I want to thank both of you, Eric and Brendan, for coming on. Definitely everybody check out Dutch Courage, hit them up, social media, all of that stuff. Buy some cocktails, people.
Buy some cocktails. Come in. You can also even call us and or message us and ask us for a custom cocktail. We don't mind like taking special requests for people. So that's another thing we've been doing.
So you guys have heard it. Again, thank you guys for coming on. And yeah, this has been Rob Lee for Getting to the Truth in This Art, saying there's art and there's creativity in Baltimore, and booze and spirits and gin. Just got to go look for it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.